this is where I'm going to step in and interrupt. um, that's part of the reason why they do. SEALs are essentially on a were with Iraq and Afghanistan. We're on a 6 month rotation. They would do 6 months a deployment, a 6 month deployment, and then in 6 months back in the States. And during that 6 months in the States, they do nothing but training, they're preparing for their next set of missions. And everything that you described about that, I will quibble about one point. You said unilateral. I disagree. I think it's bilateral because okay, because you have to have trust in as a subordinate. You have to have trust in your the people above you, and the people above you have to have trust in you, and all of that gets built via relationships. It is extremely important that you build those relationships, and we'll take that uh, a slight detour, or we'll continue the sidebar with saying that also happens in the corporate world as well. That has to happen in the corporate world as well. Um, so I'll throw out a couple of different things here. In When you are a team, there are many different ways that you build your relationships as a team, and some of those ways tend to be chit chat, tend to be the whole, hey, how's your day going? Hey, did you go see that movie? Hey, did you watch that game last night? Things like that. That is, I think a lot of people who are getting started as leaders, or maybe I should take a step back and say, I think a lot of people who are young leaders and who are young, uh, who are young and are getting put into leadership positions do not fully understand the value of that type of conversation. They tend to think that, oh, we need to be 100% focused on the job, 100% focused on what we are doing all the time. And the reason I believe that happens is because when you are young and you are put into a leadership position, it's because you are a high performer, and high performers are ones who focus, or who are very focused, especially at a young age. And I'm picking on young people right now because that's the demographic that I see this mistake in the most, not necessarily the older demographic. So when you start a meeting, or when you have meetings, you need to let people have chit chat. You need to get allow the meeting. I like to say, you need to allow the meeting to breathe. Um, when you jump on if you're in an office, what ends up happening is, as people are walking or filtering into a meeting, they're chit chatting, they're talking, because people are trying to get to a meeting early, and they're talking about stuff, and then as they're leaving, they're talking again. So you need to let that happen. And when you're in a meeting, you need to allow the opportunity for sidebars to happen. Now, there's as Jocko likes to say, there's a dichotomy to that of, you cannot let that, if you're in the middle of a meeting, you can't let that sidebar go too long. But anyway, and when you're doing like phone meetings, and you're doing stuff over Zoom, like we are very much doing in the world of today, when you jump on, you don't just dive into the meeting. You also need to allow for that chit chat as well. So that's just one way that you build relationships and stuff. The teams, SEAL teams, the military is a family. It really is. When you like in the Navy, when you get put on a new boat, you and your section, you're going out for drinks, you're going out to you're going out to restaurants, your wives are getting to know each other, your kids are getting to know each other. Like, it really is a family, and that's how, like, a lot of these relationships and this trust gets built up.
Yeah, the in the later I want to kind of dive into exactly that. The In the military, there's a lot of social stuff that happens. The officers have their parties, and then the whole military units have their group parties, and then the NCOs have their parties, right? So there's three kinds of parties. There's NCOs, officers don't go to the deal with their enlisted guys. Then there's the parties for everybody, and everybody goes to that.
Hopefully they don't.
They don't. They'd just be kicked out, or the party would stop.
They shouldn't be going. I have seen that happen, and that's not good.
It changes the dynamic. An officer could go, but they would change from the party to whatever, and then they'll have another informal party later. So,
I've seen, yeah. Well, I've also seen where the officer goes and it's generally junior officers and junior enlisted partying together, and they don't have that maturity, I would say, to recognize the division, and so they end up getting way too friendly, and that ends up going, ooh, maybe.
I suffered from some of that. And I may talk about some of that later on because that's obviously very personal. And it's more common in the smaller your team is, the more technical your team is, the more common it is. And some of that is okay, I think, in some ways, but the maturity level to make it okay is a tough one. But we should talk about that later because that's kind of going. That's going to take us off track, and there's so much to talk about.
Oh, there's so much to talk about. That will not just take us off track. I think that could end up being a full episode, just talking about like relationships between leaders and subordinates.
But since we hit the topic, I want to have fun with it. It's just like, I have to.
Oh boy.
So what's this? This Me Too movement, right?
Oh no.
Destroyed women's opportunities to develop in corporate America. Destroyed it. Women for the next 50 years will never have the chance to become as good as men thanks to this Me Too crap. Congratulations, feminist. You screwed it up for the rest of your girls.
we've been de- we've been demonetized.
Booyah.
We are getting canceled.
No, seriously, like I respect this whole women need to if they've been taken advantage of or injured or whatever. I'm all about I'm gonna piss off the others. I'm all about the chemical circumcision for a guy that does stuff that he shouldn't be doing.
Wait. How are you pissing off the others? The others probably agree with you on that statement.
So okay, well I try. I generally try to piss off everybody equally. Um, I'll work harder, but like if you are a rapist, a real rapist, and really doing stuff that is totally inappropriate by any terms reasonable, which is getting blurred more and more somehow. I think they ought to do that little chemical treatment that makes it so that you can't do anything.
So my view of it is I agree for some people on that, but then I am this is an let me put my thoughts together.
You can't be willy nilly when it comes to that kind of punishment.
I'm about to When it comes to that kind of punishment, I am at the point of if somebody is a rapist, I death penalty. I mean,
That's basically what I was saying, and definitely repeat.
oh, oh yeah. It's like we go back to like Harvey Weinstein. Weinstein, he should have received the death penalty. He should have.
Well, I mean, he was working with the Killeries. He was done, no matter what.
We both stand with her. We both voted for her. We
Yeah, I voted for not Hillary, Miss Hillary Clinton 5 times, in that election.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
I don't know how she lost.
Same. Not at all.
I think it was a scam. Russians did it. Those pesky Russians. Anyways, hopefully I did enough Hail Marys on that one. Uh, please don't suicide me. I have children.
We- We're way off topic.
I'm just going to formally say it here. I will never commit suicide. Doesn't matter how ugly the situation is, I will not do it. It's against my faith. I may want to sometimes. It will never, ever happen. So,
So I want to take a step back and ask you why you believe that the Me Too movement killed it for women in corporate America.
okay, cool. So let's have that discussion. Um, I love helping everybody, right? Women, guys. If a felon did his time and paid for his crime, is looking to reform, I'm even interested in helping him, right? Um, for some exceptions, some people I just don't want to deal with, and it goes back to the ones that we just mentioned that should have the chemical treatment, right? Um, or that did terrible things to little kids. I just can't deal with such people. I don't think they're reformable in many cases. But that said, there's hope for everybody in some way. The I'm a big advocate for helping people, giving them chances, working closely. I get very intimate with the people that I work with. I open up a lot, and my demeanor is very friendly, very intimate, and open. And it's very easy to confuse that with sexual interest. So um, I will not work with women independently. I like if there's a woman that's working for me, um, and this is going to upset a lot of people because it's not fair, but it's the reality of it. It's I won't work with you independently. I'm not going to mentor you, and I'm not going to get a close relationship with you because there might be something that you one day come back and say that is totally made up, but it will upset my wife and my children. And it's so much better for me to never allow that situation in the first place. To whenever I have women around, there's either multiple other women or guys around that's going to keep me in check, keep them in check, and make sure the record happens. Furthermore, there's probably going to be under video.
Fair.
And that's just how women destroy themselves. They will never get my deep personal wisdom because I cannot afford to open up to them.
I would go back and also add in not just the unfair when you say someone coming back to you and saying something untrue. I would also throw in it is highly likely that you say something and it be misconstrued, and that ends up being very like I've had that happen to me. I've had it happen where I say something and I'm joking and it gets misconstrued. Somebody gets all upset about it, and I have to sit down with a couple people and explain to them, like, look, no, that's not what I meant, and that's not what was going on. And yep, suffice it to say, I ended up leaving that company on my own terms, not them leave. It no,
Uh huh. Sure, but no, that's basically what happens, right?
yes, and that's part of it, and it's very good advice for one for men. If you have women subordinates, because it does happen, you need to be careful. You need to be 100% careful, um, at all. What? Yeah, yeah.
Cover your ass.
You need to be careful about that, and oftentimes it can be so like at one company I was at, they were very cognizant of it, they were very careful with it, and so there was lots of guidance in there saying in the company saying look, if you are a mentor to somebody of the opposite sex, you cannot and should, like, they basically sat there and said, do not go into an office or a booth or something and close the door. Like, they basically were sitting there saying, you need to be careful with this.